Cool. Awesome. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll probably give everyone just another minute before we get started. Today, we're actually going to be going into these systems and showing a real workflow and every step of it. So I want to make sure everyone has time to be here from the very beginning. So we'll give everyone just a minute to join us. I got my festive coffee cup. Did you see that?
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
What's Oh yeah, very October themed. I guess yeah, yesterday was the first day of fall officially.
My wife was not slow to that.
Yeah.
I got Halloween stuff everywhere already.
Any candy corn? You big candy corn fan or?
Oh, I don't allow candy. I just can't handle it. Like I'll just eat the
Oh,
whole,
okay.
like it's just gone. Don't do it. There's one time last year, she put M&Ms, peanut M&Ms up.
Oh, yep.
2 days, dude. 2 days, family
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
That's
didn't realize what I was doing.
that's me at Christmas at the in-laws house because they usually have the little candy. They literally have the M&Ms that are peanut M&Ms out in the
The
little
best
candy
ones.
dish.
They're the best
Yeah.
ones. It's the
Yeah.
best candy. Really is.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we could probably get started. I think it's close enough. So cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know everyone here is probably really busy. So what we're going to do today is a little different than your standard webinar. We're actually going to be going into the platform a little bit. We're going to go build kind of a foundation inside the CRM, that being Redtail today. Show how we can kind of create some foundational stuff and then where that takes us on an automation level. So we'll go through that today. Today, joining us is myself, Chris Gonzalez. I've been in the industry for about 11 years now, working with broker-dealers, financial advisors, and all of the tech that we see today, basically all of the different partners out there. And then joining me today, we also have Dalil. He is a tech leader and entrepreneur and the CEO and co-founder of RooksDM. He believes the right technology can drive efficiency and growth, which really works out well for us today because that's kind of exactly what we're going to be going into with building a foundation inside of your CRM and then taking that and saying, how can this build efficiency and growth? So I'm glad that we have him with us today. So first thing, like I said, we'll build that foundation. Then we're going to go into some of the automation that we can create because of the data that has been kind of cleaned up inside of Redtail or any CRM really. And then we'll talk a little bit through about AI and what role we see it playing in today's firms. Not necessarily, not everything that we go over today is going to be AI. So there's going to be specific sections, and I'll talk about it and where we see it fitting in today's office. So let's begin. So what I'll do is here, I'm going to pull up, and we're going to switch my screen over to Redtail. Let me pull that up here. Cool. And while I pull these contact records up, now there is a little bit of a disclaimer here before we really get into the weeds of everything is I'm using a Redtail database, probably going to be a little different than yours. And I'm going to try my best to keep it agnostic to everyone else's system. But again, try to follow along as best as you can. A lot of this is going to be a little theoretical, but we have Dalil Hill with us, and I actually want to use him as a resource on this because for us, hey, CRM is going to be different for everyone, but as far as data is concerned and keeping clean data, that's something that I think Dalil can help us strategically on.
Yeah. So the CRM is one of the most important systems because it typically is the inception point for all of your data. And so when we talk about data, it's obviously like garbage data in, garbage data out. So one of the things that we do a lot of work with the firms that we advise and kind of build solutions for is all around creating data standards and kind of understanding, hey, what data are you collecting? How are you collecting it? Are you collecting it in a way that it's structured so you're able to get accurate data? leveraging online forms. So for example, if they typically come in with the start of a meeting, and this is where GReminders is very powerful as well too. One of the features and functionalities is the form to be able to collect data when someone is booking a meeting and syncing that directly to your CRM. So thinking through the process of, hey, what data should I include in my scheduling automation tool like GReminders, and then how do I sync that into the CRM? Because as you'll show a little bit later today, Chris, kind of having those tags set up and kind of thinking through those standards and having the data already captured on the front end is a pivotal piece there. So on the data standard side of things, we always say, think about it, ideate, kind of map out what data you're collecting, how you're collecting it, who it's coming from, the purpose of it, and what systems it should ultimately live in. And generally, obviously, the basic information usually starts in the CRM, which is one of the critical systems to use. So first name, last name, you're going to talk about birthdays and all that good stuff. So that's our view on it as it relates to data standards and structure, if you will.
Yeah, that's great. And one of the things with data structure is, can I quickly pull up a list of all my clients, right? And Redtail usually is out of the box, it's built for advisors. So hopefully that is a task that you can accomplish pretty seamlessly, because you have what? You have the status, which comes built into Redtail, and then you have active client, which is another one of those that's kind of built into the platform. So theoretically, we can come in here, data's tight, we can pull all of our clients in just a quick advanced search, right? And this pulls in all 252 of our active clients with us. So if I'm taking that and I want to say, okay, I want to build a workflow that is going to automate the annual review process. Okay, so I have to meet with these 252 clients and I want to automate it as much as I possibly can. So I can just take this and I can say, okay, well, I'm going to take all these and I'm going to send them an invite to calendar. And I'm going to just handle all of this in January 1, and I'm going to talk to 252 clients. That's a little tough, right? That's going to be a lot of work. And a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll surge it into like maybe quarters. But what we see a lot of firms do, and what we've seen more and more, is more of a monthly approach, where I'm going to take care of 20 clients a month or 15 clients a month. That's my annual reviews. And again, that's not saying you're only talking to these 20 clients a month. It's just these are going to be the ones that are the structured annual reviews that you have in process. So I'm going to take these 252 clients and I'm going to try to think of a way, how can I bring this down to more of a manageable number? And one thing that I came up with, and Dila helped me on this too, is if we go in here, we can take a look at contact and we can say, well, how about created month, right? When were they created in Redtail? So we can go to equal to, say, January. So now I can run this and it's going to take these 252 clients and it's going to show me everyone that was created at a certain time. Well, now I could just do this for every month, right? So I can go in here, I can do February, run that. There, it's going to pull my 17. I can do March and so forth and so on. And I just do this 12 times. And what I do with them is I give them a value. And that value is going to be a tag group or a keyword. And in this case, we're going to do a tag group. So I'm going to take all of these guys. I'm going to go over to contact options. I'm going to go into bulk actions. And we're going to create a tag. I've already did it for January reviews. So I'll take January reviews here and I'm going to add this to the tag group. So we'll add that there. And once that's added, these records going forward will all be associated with the January review. Now, there is situations where you want to change that, right? So we can jump into Pam's account and we can say, oh, we actually met with Pam in August, so we don't need to meet her again, or May, or whatever it was. So we can come in here and we can actually say, well, let's remove her from January and put her on May, since we know we met with her on May, and we can save that. And again, now going forward, she's always going to be a May review. When you're creating contacts, we can go here, we can create a contact, individual, and I'll be able to create this as well. So I can say these are going to be an August review. If you're creating them in August, then let's say that that's when you're going to review with them next. So we go here, we have that set. Now that's created. So this contact record is now going to be associated with August reviews. And the reason why this is important is because now I can go back to my contacts and I can see them all broken up. I can see them broken up into how often I need to meet with them, or not so much now how often, but I can see when I'm planning to meet with them, right? I'm planning to meet with them on August. I'm planning to meet with them in June. And now the cool thing that we can do, because you now have data that tells us about this, we can go into GReminders, enter GReminders, and we can create something called a bulk send. And with these sends, we're essentially automating us reaching, or you reaching out and saying, hey, it's time to meet with your advisor. And the way we're doing that is we're going to come in here and we're going to create a new one, right? We'll create a new bulk send. We're going to say this is an ongoing automation because I'm going to do this every single year. I'm going to request for appointment because I want them to book with me, and I'm going to text it to them. Now I could create two of these where one's an email, one's a text. Either one, it doesn't matter, but let's say we want to use text, and we're going to name this the January reviews live webinar, because that's what we're doing. And then we'll do Redtail CRM contacts. We'll save and continue. So when you use the Redtail CRM contacts, what that's then saying is something in Redtail is going to then help us define how to pull these contacts. So let's do that. So we're going to create this. Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to add here, it was so subtle, but your switch from Redtail into GReminders and the integrations that you guys have, like the importance of integration between systems, is a good call out here. And kind of going back to the data standard side of things, is having it in one system, but being able to reuse that data in multiple locations, which is helpful here, is the only thing that I wanted to call out, because we see that a lot too, like the birthdays and the example that you're giving. You could also trigger other automations outside of just the email, maybe an internal task, maybe an internal notification. If that person still hasn't booked, maybe you schedule like an automatic phone call to go out because they still haven't booked their meeting time. So this is really good to capture all of the data in the CRM and then have it sync to your platform like GReminders and using it in other systems as well too. So the importance of integration is really key here.
Yeah, agreed, and good input. So as far as next step for these bulk sends, now that now that we have the cleaner data to kind of work with, I can come in here and say, all right, well, I'm just going to meet with these January people in January. So we're going to set up January. We'll do the first Monday because that's usually the best route. And we'll say 12 months. So on the first month of every January, I'm going to send out a message. And how do I know who I'm going to be sending it to? Well, there comes the data from the CRM. So then we go in here, we select January reviews, and we can preview those records, and we'll see everyone that we added that into. So that's going to pull up, and that's going to show us those 24, I think it was, show us those 24 records that we're going to be hitting. And you can go through that list and see, like, is there any in there that you didn't want to send to, or is there, and things like that. So sorry, it's taking a second, but there we go. So this is all the people that we're going to be sending. Look through, this looks perfect, good, awesome. All right, we're going to send that. Then we're going to come in here to the service and advisor, because again, that's another field that's utilized inside of Redtail. We're going to say the service and advisor is who they're going to be contacting. So like, I want to make sure that that's who's messaged. This is going to be for an annual review. So it's going to use my event types for annual review. We're going to do event type as well. We'll do, this is for Phil. So we'll do annual review for Phil. And then we're going to do the content. So time for your next, okay, so hey, add a variable, contact, full name. Put that there. Been a year. How time flies. Time to meet with variable again, and we'll jump over here. We'll say me. I want to say me, so my first name. Time to meet with me with my company name. Please schedule here. So now I can say, okay, in a quick way, I'm just going to be texting them saying, hey, we met last year in January. It's time to do it again. Book a time with me. You can also add something in here saying, hey, if you don't have time to book, maybe we'll give you a call. We'll give you a call later today if we don't see a booking. There you go. So now you can even call them. So you can kind of keep that touch service where you're going in and you're reaching out to each individual person to get these scheduled. Now, so this just creates a lot of automation in the sense of now people can get their annual review. They can book the annual review all in one swift action. And so that makes it a lot easier for them. So then we can come in here. If they don't see the message, want it to repeat, you can change the days and things like that. But yeah, I mean, just like that, you're now able to create this automation. And I'm sure, Delia, you want to jump in on this because I'm sure you've worked with firms that have done this already, right? And
Yeah.
so what's
Yeah, I was going to talk even about like the power of including the scheduling automation link within the template. One of the things that we see as well too when we talk about processes and mapping technology to processes is some of the clients that we work with, they're very hesitant to just send out a scheduling automation link to their clients. So even for a process like this, you can even architect it in a way to where this may not be going out to the actual client. You could use it to serve as a template for your internal staff members to do these items as well too, and kind of using the scheduling automation tool to book times on calendars based off their availability and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So there may be even you can splice and dice it, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. You may have a service offering or a subset of clients that you're working with where automation's cool and it's not very high touch point. And in that case, what you're showing is accurate. In the other cases, you could still leverage a process like this, but make it tied to someone internally. So even though the end client isn't actually the one clicking the link and booking the time and going through that whole process,
Yep.
it is a structured automated process that the internal team member is also using as well too. So we see that to be pretty effective for the organizations that we work with. And a lot of times people don't think of like, oh, I could use this as part of my internal process. It doesn't necessarily have to go out to the person that's actually booking the meeting. I can use it for internal purposes as well too.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it on the head, and I agree with that. And the thing is, too, we used Redtail today to kind of build a little bit of automation, and we used Redtail to build that foundation. But it could be any CRM. It doesn't have to be this, right? It can be you can take the Redtail logo out, put anyone in there that you want. But our whole point is to create that symbiotic relationship with your CRM, where it's GReminders, your CRM, and they're communicating to each other and creating automation and workflows that'll help scheduling and the reminding side of things. Now we work with, like I said, we work with a lot of different CRMs. Wealthbox being another one, Salesforce, Smart Office, like all of them basically. And then we also connect to all of the calendars. So we're sending out these reminders. Oh, I'm sorry, we're sending out these requests for scheduling, but that's going to go automatically into your Redtail. That's going to go automatically into your Wealthbox. So all of this scheduling that they're doing is being pushed right where it needs to go automatically without you having to worry about it. And
Do you guys handle, I don't know if you want to talk about that as well to the rescheduling process as it relates to the calendar. And if someone does reschedule, that automatically gets updated on the calendar in as well too, because
yes,
that seems to be a really good, another small but major piece of functionality that's very useful for
mhm.
structure across the firm.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on. That's when we look at, say, this slide specifically. This is as a group, they spend a lot of their time kind of going through technology and vetting good integrations versus poor integrations, and we always score very, very high on this. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that we do handle the reschedules. Not only the rescheduling, but we handle the booking and the reminding, and we connect to all of the different platforms that need to be connected to for something like that. Went the wrong way. But yeah, so I'm going to run through some of the things that we're doing. I or GReminders is doing now. I know we talked about that annual reviews, and we talked about how we put it on Autopilot, and we showed from CRM to GReminders. But there's more things that you can do on it as well, right? There's that birthday that Dalil talked about, the anniversaries that we can do as well. Once they're booked, that's going on to everything. So that's hitting your Gmail, it's hitting your Outlook. The different event types are give you different hour structures for the day, and if it's in person, it's going to be a different structure on your calendar than if it was a Zoom meeting, things like that. And so going forward, I mean, if they get to you from your website, the event will be different than if they booked the annual review, right? So there's just different types of events. There's different avenues for people to book with you, and we change each avenue to fit what the advisor needs, essentially.
The
Uh,
only thing,
mhm,
I think you might have skipped over it really quick, but the other thing that we see used a lot is routing the appropriate appointments or
mhm,
events to the appropriate team members internally. So that's a big one as well too, is like, hey, if I'm a client and I'm calling in about a specific service offering or I fall under a specific bucket, then the ability to route that to that individual or team's availability internally makes it easier for everyone. the client to be able to find a time, and then also for the internal team to know what their availability is going to be for client service calls.
Yep, and you're spot on. And this is exactly what this looks like. So what he was talking through is this, and those are routing forms. And routing
Yep.
forms can be attached to any event link. So if you're sending out events for the annual review, you can say, hey, make sure you're bringing these things. If you're sending events for someone who just clicked on your link in your Outlook, you're going to need more questions answered, right? You need to know who the heck is contacting you, and so that's where that can kind of come into play a little bit more effectively.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys see any like specific custom fields that get created on like a lot like across multiple different types of your clients by chance on the forms?
Yeah, I mean, we see, I mean, those forms are going to be bringing in a number of different data points. So when we don't recognize a Google or an email address,
Mm-hmm.
we will then take that as, oh, this should be added into the CRM. So we can automate creation of contacts within the platform as well.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Now, as far as workflows, that's actually exactly what I'm talking about. You could do the same thing with workflows. You could do the same thing with opportunities, launch engagements with some of our other integration partners as well. Reminders. Now, we're GReminders, right? So this is what we do. This is the first thing that we did. We look at the calendar. Even if we added it, if we didn't add it, it doesn't matter. If there is a client in the calendar invite, we remind on it. So we're going to let them know, hey, this is coming up. If it's an in-person meeting, we know, let's send them a text at 8 in the morning. Here's our address. Excited to see you. If it's a Zoom call, 30 minutes before, here's the Zoom link. Things like that. So this is all unique per event, but that's what the reminders really are.
The other thing that you can leverage just based off the event types as well too is if you wanted to notify internal team members of key people that have scheduled meetings. Like we do a lot with like most of the clients we work with use Microsoft Teams for collaboration and communication. So based off of these specific dates, we could also ping like the client services channel in Teams saying, hey, just a friendly reminder, Chris has booked a time coming up, and do any prep work. And then we can also link to any documents associated with that record as well too.
Yeah, spot on. Yes. And with these reminders too, I mean, they also have the ability to confirm. They have the ability to reschedule. So all of the back and forth that you have to do once these get booked should hopefully drop significantly, because you're not having to go in and do it each manually. These are just going to handle on their own. If they change in one platform, they'll change in the rest, kind of deal. And then if there's no shows, hopefully not, you can go in here and you can mark it as a no-show, and that's in the sidebar, which we can talk about later if you guys want. But no-shows are also handled. And then everything that's automated. All communication that is automated in the sense of, hey, you have an appointment coming up, or basically any of the reminders are automatically journaled into Redtail. Because those aren't AI by any means. Those are just us typing what we want them to look like. And so those are just going to automatically go and funnel into Redtail and funnel into email archiving if needed. But before the meeting, and this is the kind of the last part of the agenda, it's the AI side of things. And so where do we see AI kind of fitting into the firm, right? So we've handled reminders, we've handled contact syncs and development around all of that. But when we start to bring AI in, what we want that to do is, how can AI work for you? How can it prep your meetings for you? How can it take notes in your meetings for you, right? And that's where the AI starts to play a role. And the first thing is it's the AI pre-meeting brief. So we're going to play this video here. And this is going to go over what an email would look like to you for a pre-meeting brief. Hey, this is what you're getting before the call that comes through. Let's say you get it an hour before or the day before. Everything you guys talked about. So it's going to give you just a layout of everything that you guys went through together. It's going to essentially give you the last notes. It's going to go through the CRM notes and your email notes. If you go to the bottom of that email and you hit that big green button, it's going to then take you into GReminders, and it's going to allow you to have a chat functionality with it, so you kind of talk back and forth on some of the notes that it saw, and then you can ask it for some of the asset information. We're going to be integrating this to more and more stuff, so like what you can ask it is going to grow every month. I was going to say year, but it's honestly going to grow month to month. This is going to get more and more powerful. And so this is where you kind of come in here. You can say, hey, I need you to schedule a task for me. That's going to go, and that'll schedule it in. And that created the task in Redtail automatically, just like that. It's done. And so just from the pre-meeting brief, you can just go in here and start working with the client, prepping for the client, if you would, and you can create certain tasks that need to be done because maybe you didn't get to them before the last call you guys had.
Does it auto create the pre-meeting brief you said?
It does. Yeah, it
Okay.
generates that and sends it to your email address, knowing that you have it
Nice.
on your calendar for a meeting. So it's going to automatically push it over to you.
Are you able to update the settings into which it gets sent? So like 24 hours before, 12 hours before,
Yep.
1 hour before? Or...
Yes, you can. That's a great question. And yes, yeah. So
okay.
Me personally, I'm an hour before kind of guy, but there is times where you have meeting. If you get them an hour before, it's almost worthless. So I mean, you have to. It's whatever works for you, right? So if you put buffers between your calls, which a lot of our users do, they'll have time to go through.
Highly recommend that.
Yeah, yeah. So you can create like 15, 20-minute buffers that just help you catch up. You don't need as much time as you used to with the notes and all the note taker I'm about to share with you guys, but it's still helpful because you can do a lot of tasks in that small amount of time. And I'm going to share that right now, actually. Now in the meeting, we have our AI.
Sorry, I was going to ask one more question. Maybe I'm just more curious. For the pre-meeting briefs that get automatically sent to you via email, is there any functionality right now to dump them in a document repository somewhere or in the CRM, for example, or any location?
Yeah, I mean, you can generate the pre-meeting brief inside of GReminders, and when you click on that green link, it takes you into GReminders, and there's a copy functionality where you can take that and then drop that wherever you want to. Now, it's not necessarily as built out as what I'm going to share, which is the summary notes. The pre-meeting is more just for you to go through and ask questions if you need to ask questions around the last stuff that you guys went through. But it is something that you could copy and throw into the CRM if you'd like.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, when it comes to AI note takers, there's one big factor. It's how does the AI note taker know where to join? Like, how does it know where I'm at to get the notes? And so the way it handles it is we have close integrations with Teams, Zooms, WebEx, Google Meets, all of them. GoTo is another one. And then we also have integrations with the VoIP providers. So Intolls, Teams VoIP, RingCentral. If we see the call on the calendar, it joins. So if the call exists in Outlook or in Gmail or in your CRM, it's going to join in. There's event types that you can create where you say don't join and you don't want it in there at all for internal meetings or things like that. It cannot. But if it's categorized correctly and generically, it's going to join. And when it does, that's essentially what it'll look like. It can be your logo, it can be your naming. They don't need to see the word GReminders at all. It's all going to be your thing. And what we found, we work with a lot of different advisors, and what we found was that if you're just mentioning that your personal AI note taker is on the call, that's more than acceptable for the compliance teams that we've seen so far. There's no spiel where you have to say, hey, I'm recording every word that we're talking about. It is more of, hey, I'm bringing my AI note taker onto the meeting to help me out. That simple. And then we see a pretty high success rate with that. And that also seems to be checking all the boxes on the compliance side. Now, after the meeting, once the actual note has joined and taken said notes, it takes about 5-ish minutes on average, sometimes 10, sometimes less, to come through. And when it does, it looks like this. So this is essentially the summary of everything that they talked about. Now, notice here where there's things that say no updates, specifically because when you create these notes, you're creating what you want to see, right? So you're saying, hey, go through this stuff. This is everything I care about. If they have personal updates, don't put their personal updates in my financial stuff. Don't mix things like that. And so when you create a template like this, you're then able to say, okay, all the personal stuff's going to be down here. And down the line, you can even get rid of it. Like any personal stuff, I don't need in my note taker. And it can just be finance. And that's how you can kind of build this out. So right away, you're seeing like that's how it's essentially used. But we're going to jump into the GReminders application. So we're going to look at the note. This is how it's come through. We're going to look at the transcript, which is, by the way, this is going through everything that was said, word for word. And you can even jump to the play button and see exactly where things happened. The chat functionality is there as well for this. So you know, if you couldn't remember how much that house cost, oh, it was 300. It's like, okay, well, maybe I don't trust AI, so I'm going to go in there and look for myself. Oh, okay, it really says 300. Well, you can even listen for yourself. So you can hit this, jump in the video, and you can listen to see if he said 300. And so you can triple check yourself if you'd like, as you get more and more comfortable with AI and its capabilities and limitations. You can kind of see everything that it can and work along it. Now, what it's doing now is it's logging this to the CRM. So it's going to pick a category. It went through the note, and I'm going to pause for a second because there's one big thing that's happening here. We never have AI talk to your clients at any point. It's just never happened. So it's always going to be AI to you as the advisor, and then you then take it to the next level, right? You then take it to the investor, whether that's an email, whether that's a note to the CRM, anything that is, you know, that you're going to essentially put your name on, you're going to have the ability to put your name on it, kind of deal. It's not going to just be AI said this and then that's it. No, it's AI said this. Is this good enough? And then you go through and check it. And a lot of times you'll have to add one thing or remove a few other things depending on how often you use it. But now what it's doing is, go ahead, Dilio.
Just yeah, just to that point, I mean, one of the things that people think as AI is a magic pill and solves all problems. And that's a good point that you call out, because I always say, like, it's a tool just like anything else. So some people get frustrated with, hey, the AI doesn't work as I want it to work, or it doesn't catch the appropriate things, or misrepresent some things. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a tool. So I always try to remind people about that, is knowing like, hey, this is one tool that allows you to work as efficiently as possible. So that's the only thing I was going to call out there, because a lot of times we see frustration of, hey, I'm not using it because I've tried to use it and it doesn't really work well because it's not capturing what I want it to capture. Well, that's part of the setup, the configuration, and then also understanding it's a tool and you have to work with it and configure it in the way that you want it and need it to work. And that takes some time and effort and thought process around it before it gets to a place where it's up and running and is providing a great amount of efficiency gains. I mean, even still out of the box, it still does, but I know that some of the hesitation, or maybe sometimes people are frustrated with it. And so you made a good point about it. Just wanted to do a friendly reminder that it's just a tool at the end of the day to help us work more efficiently.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree. I mean, could you imagine if we had, we just sent the login to, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Well, I was in Do Not Disturb. That's still came through. Anyways, all right. But no, I'm glad you brought that up, because I mean, I completely agree. I mean, could you imagine if you had advisors where they just sent their Orion or Black Diamond credentials for people who wanted their performance report? They're like, yeah, log into my Black Diamond, you'll figure it out. It's, you know, you actually have to go in there and generate the report. You know how to use that tool. It's very similar to this. So that note will automatically go into Redtail like we just showed. You can view it, and we'll show you guys what it looks like. But now that's immediately added in. On this screen, you can also send emails, which I think that's the next thing this video is going to do. Yeah. So you can send emails, and these templates change based off the event type. So if it's discovery or something else, then that's how this will work. But this pulls in, check it out. Sounds good. This is sending from your email address, by the way. So you send that out, that's done. And then on the right side, you have your workflows, opportunities, and tasks. So basically on this screen, you're doing 5 things. You're emailing the client, you're notating the CRM, you're creating workflows and opportunities if need be, and you're creating the one-off tasks that may also need to be created, all on this one page. And that's why we talked about that buffer between calls. This doesn't take long. You don't need a whole hour. You don't need to write, you don't have to go through your notes like I have here, and you can just go into here and utilize these. And then that takes maybe 10-15 minutes to create everything that you need to create for this meeting. And then you can kind of go on to the next one. And the cool thing, since everything is held onto for a few days, you are able to have back-to-back meetings and then get back to it later that night, or get back to it the next morning, things like that too. But yeah, this is just going through the creation of all the tasks and the workflows and opportunities that we mentioned.
From a process standpoint, I guess when you're syncing the tasks, once you sync it, do you find that more clients are using like Redtail as a source of truth for the tasks moving forward, or do they come back in the GReminders? And I mainly asking that because that's more of like a process discussion to have internally of, hey, where's the source of truth that our tasks are going to live within? I would
Yeah.
assume it would more likely be in one over the other, and that's clearly defined. I guess was the point I was trying to make there. But I don't know if you guys see one over the other as the source of truths.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely don't want to be the source of truth by any means. We want to rely on the CRM to give us that data. Uh, so that's where it's going to stand. I mean, I've seen some very interesting articles out there where it's like anything AI, and anything like any of these AI note takers will eventually be CRMs. Like I've seen that take out there. It's not something I necessarily agree with. I think right now we can make suggestions to other softwares, and as long as those softwares that we're working with keep up in a technical capacity where they allow us the ability to build to them, I don't see us ever being the source. We always want to lean on things that you've already implemented and are using day to day.
That makes sense. Yep, I would agree with that.
Now, we are nearing. Well, oh wow, pretty fast. That was a lot. We are nearing the end. We are nearing the end. It was a good conversation, right? So, as far as next steps, if you guys are interested in GReminders, what we can do is we can set you up with the pilot run, a trial, a real system onboarding. If you scan this QR code, it'll be on the next few slides. It essentially will tell us where you're coming from. It'll tell us how to get you set up appropriately. We work differently for different BDs. We have different like templates set up for them and things like that. So just, you can sign this up and we can start that process of showing you what it could look like with your real data in there. So connect your Redtail, connect your Wealthbox, all that fun stuff. Yeah, like I said, pretty simple to get started. Just greminders.com or scan that QR code. Either one works. And then we also have Rook's stuff here where he kind of will run through some stuff with you, but I'll let him chat through it.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on this call, Chris. Hopefully, I was able to provide some value as it relates to the data structure and
Sure.
the CRM and just kind of workflow automation. If anyone's interested, feel free to book a efficiency audit with us. This is where we'll spend some time kind of uncovering any gaps that you guys have, talk about some low-hanging fruit opportunities as it relates to automation. Talk about ways that you can set up better processes and then use automation or AI and integrations to be able to overcome that. So feel free to use the link there, rooksdm.com/efficiency audit. You can always feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well too, and just the link to this is on my LinkedIn profile as well too. But very fruitful conversation, and I do want to call out. You guys have two very, I don't want to I call them low hanging fruits, but two things that we're seeing in the industry. So the meeting notes is obviously a huge one, and that's where we're seeing, like I was just at another I was at an FPA conference, and the big theme there, one of the big themes was note taking apps, and what we're seeing is that's a good way. If you're not fully advanced in the AI automation type space, that's a good way to dip your toe in the water and kind of see what AI and automation can do for you. And you showed the chat bot being able to ask it questions and be able to directly get answers from that. The efficiency gains for the note taking app is very, very useful. And then also, I love the demo that you provided that showed the syncing of tasks and the ability to sync it back into the CRM. And the point that you made of, hey, the CRM is a source of truth. That's typically where people are logging in, and ensuring that the appropriate services are being delivered and the client's having a good experience is one thing there. And then the second thing is the other part of your software that you guys provide, the scheduling automation, another low-hanging fruit. Like if you're not using scheduling automation today, I'm assuming hopefully everyone on this call is using a tool like GReminders or is using GReminders, because the ability to get meetings scheduled in an effective manner by using these tools is very, very effective. And I do that myself personally. Like I even know it to work out very well. I'm on the partnership account management side of things, and having that tool in place has saved me a tremendous amount of time. And I even have it in my signature as well to book a time with me. And I kind of reference that in my email sometimes too. So just want to call out some of the features and functionalities, things that we're seeing, low hanging fruits that we always recommend are the two specific functionalities that you mentioned that GReminders provides. So love
Yep.
the platform as usual. And we've chatted about this before.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have. And one of the bigger questions that we often get when we're working together is, well, specifically with the webinar like this, where we actually went into Redtail a little bit and we went into the CRMs. One of the questions we get around that is, can you do that for me? And we do have onboarding, and we do have a premier onboarding option where we can do some of it for you. But that's where our relationship with Dalil kind of comes into play, where my CRM is nowhere near what you showed us today. How can we maximize it so that we can see some more efficiencies? And that's where we prioritize our relationships with RooksDM and with Dalil, is just because I think when you have a better data set, it is so much easier to create more advanced automation and workflow and get a lot more out of your time. So other than that, I mean, this is our last slide. You can follow Dalil on LinkedIn. If you scan the QR code on the left, on the right is our setup for a demo or trial or whatever it is, or whatever path you guys want to go. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, we'll stick on for the next 2 or 3 minutes, but we do want to thank you for taking time out of your day to see some of what we can build, some of the services that we can offer. But again, we'll open up for questions, and if we see anything come through, we will kind of go through those. But again, anyone who has to drop off, actually, yeah, it's 40 minutes, so it was pretty good webinar. But cool. So we'll stick on for questions and see if there's any. Okay, yeah, so we got one question, and it was around, it's actually a really good question. It's around the AI note taker, and specifically it's asking if the name is more rare or something like that, where or AI can't hear your name correctly and it misspells it consistently, which I'm sure actually Dalil probably runs into frequently. What are some examples of what AI note taker has used for your name? Have you seen anything crazy?
Dale is
Dale.
probably the
Dale's the new one? Yeah.
That's probably the most simplified version.
Yeah. So we do have a solution. It's not a final solution because we're actually trying to code in a solution. But right now, in the note taker on the top right, there's something called participants. You can change the participants' names to Dalil. If it's a Dale, it'll be like, oh, Dale Allison, this is all the things he talks about. You can change that to Dalil, and then it'll change that throughout the whole summary. So there is a solution for it. We're trying to code something in where it's like, hey, if you hear these words, that's not the word you're hearing. We're running into that with some broker dealers too. Osaic being a big one. Osaic's not a real word, I don't think. So it gets confused. It calls it mosaic and things like that. So we're working on tightening that up a little bit more. But at the moment, the solution is just manually changing it in one place, and then it'll change it everywhere else for you. And yes, we will send out this recording as long as I did everything correctly, we will send this recording out for you guys. Cool. Well, I think that's just about it. So again, Dalil, I appreciate you taking the time joining us. It was fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. If you guys have anything else, feel free to reach out to us. You can head to our website, or you can message Dalil on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to help out. But thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.